To quote Logan, we were born ready.
Yeah, not you guys, Bill. All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our council meeting. I apologize for the 8 minutes that we are late. We had a very busy schedule, so our apologies. So I do have a few items to add to the agenda. On 13.3 is a request for the mayor to attend the Denny'Dawg Assembly. And under 18.4, land transfer. And 18.5, staff recruitment. Any other additions?
I have two, Madam Mayor. One is a property item. These are for in camera.
Yeah, I put them there.
Okay.
Yeah, when you sent them, I marked them down and just.
Okay, so if those are been added into the agenda, then I have nothing further.
Okay, council, nothing? All right, thank you. Could I have someone move the agenda then?
I'll move the agenda as amended.
Councillor Anderson, all in favor? Carried. Approval of the minutes on the June 10th minutes. Everybody's had a chance to read them. Could I have someone approve? Councillor Jessamine, all in favor? Carried. I sent my mayor's report to you. Is there any questions on it? Did you read it?
I did.
No questions? Thank you. Move for information. All in favor? Carried. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So on June the 12th, attended the Mackenzie Regional Waste Management Committee meeting, the same one as the mayor, and it's all captured in her report. On June the 14th, attended the NAIL meeting, the Northern Alberta Elected Leaders meeting. Items of note, apparently the next NRED grant application is going to be open right after the Labor Day weekend. One of the things that NAIL is going to hopefully get funding for, still trying to get a tour by MLAs and ministers of the northern part of the province. The proposal would be that in spring of 2025, that NAIL through this grant would charter a flight, a 30-passenger plane to bring available MLAs and ministers. It would fly from Edmonton to High Level. They would then tour here and then go down to Peace River. The way back in a perfect world would be by bus so that they could get an actual sense, but if it's not, it would be on the plane. So they would come to High Level on the Thursday, later the same day would go to Peace River, would spend the night there, then on Friday they would go to Whitecourt and then back to Edmonton. They're hoping to arrange this during the spring session so that there will be lots of MLAs that would be available. Alberta Munis, we got an update, and they're seeking stories from different municipalities on projects that have been delayed or canceled due to a lack of provincial funding. And they're asking for those to be submitted to advocacy@abmunis.ca. So if there's any projects that fall into that, possibly our evacuation center could be highlighted in there as well. Our Main Street could be highlighted there as well. And again, briefly mentioned it just informally prior to the start of the council meeting. The announcements on STIP funding province-wide were made last week. And when I saw the announcement from the minister's office, I had logged on and went through the list, and 100th Avenue is not on the list. Paddle Prairie, I believe, was approved for 2 or 3 bridge rehabilitations. There were a number of things up in this area, but high level was not one of them. So maybe we could follow up with the minister's office and find out whether that was sort of the informal short list and didn't have the full meal deal. The numbers that were announced didn't add up to the different projects that were in the list, so maybe there's more to come. The next NAIL meeting is November the 8th. It's going to be in Grimshaw. And on the 17th, attended the CAO interviews. And then on the 19th, attended the same Ready Board meeting as the mayor. That's all I have.
November 8th, you said?
November the 8th, it's in Grimshaw. That's the tentative date anyway.
Director Phillips, have you received a letter about the STIP funding?
I haven't received anything, and normally our minister's letters or any approval letters will go to the CAO
Okay.
email. Yep.
Hopefully that's an oversight. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Anderson.
So June 11th, we, as a community, bursary committee, we started the process. We did it mostly by email and text because we weren't all in town at the time. So that was done, and the candidates were chosen before grad. And I don't have the names offhand of the candidates. I don't remember 'em. And on June 20th, I attended a intermunicipal planning commission meeting. Did you have me on, Bill? I did. So there was two people there that had wanted to do some changes to subdivisions. So one wanted his yard or wanted to subdivide 10 acres off of a field for a yard site. The buildings were already there, which had limited access, road access to it. So the county was concerned with that, but it was expressed to that person that if it was ever sold or the other parcel was ever sold, that he would have to allow access through his property to get to the other property. So, and he was in favor with that. So it went through. And the other one was for a shop to be turned into a garage, I guess, and that was approved as well. The shop was already there. So, and that's all I have.
So, it was allowed to go through. What if he sells his property and the person he sells to doesn't want his neighbor driving through his yard?
That was discussed, and that is being placed on him as a caveat, right? That he has to give access to whoever owns that parcel that's behind him. Like right now, he owns both parcels,
Right.
but if he was ever to sell the one, he would have to give that person access through his yard.
So what happens if he sells his original property to somebody else and that somebody else doesn't want to allow that person?
That would be part of that sale. It will have to be part of allowing that sale to go through.
Hopefully he never sells it.
That can be dealt with by way of a right-of-way agreement registered on title to both properties, and it's binding in all future successors in a sign, so that's a non-issue.
Yes, and I think that was expressed to him that would have to be there. And again, it's the county, right? It's not high level. But the county did express that he would have that issue, that he would have to have that done so that that access was always
What
to
would
be there.
be the different, why couldn't he get an access on?
I'm not sure exactly, there's no road allowance there. So I'm not 100% sure why it had that limited access. But it's right up against the railway tracks, and there's no road allowance, so.
He may never sell his property.
He may never want to.
Yeah. Did you have something to say, Logan?
Nope, nothing
Oh.
on my end.
I thought I heard something from the, all right, thank you, Counselor Anderson. Counselor Jesselman?
Okay, good evening. On June the 12th, I attended our monthly high-level Community Policing Society meeting. On the 19th, we had our AGM for the Community Policing Society. Then on the 17th, I was a part of the CAO interviews. And then on the 22nd, I was at the 2024 graduation ceremony and addressed the class on behalf of the town of High Level. That's it for me.
Thank you. I was gonna say, do you know the names of the two candidates so we can congratulate them?
I do. The first was Emma Busey, or am I saying it
Emma
right?
Busey, yeah.
Emma Busey, and I'm trying to remember the other one's last name. It was
Foley.
Caitlin Foley. There you go.
So two very deserving people. So congratulations to those two. And hopefully you come back to the town to work. Counselor, thank you, Counselor Jessamine. Counselor Lambert?
Yeah. Good evening. On June 11th, I attended a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and on June 12th, I attended the presentation by Lumex on the Airport Master Plan. And then on June 17th, attended the CAO interviews as well as, oh sorry, that was it for the 17th. And then on June 22nd, we hosted the Celebrate the Sun on behalf of the Chamber. It was a successful sale again this year out on Main Street, thanks to all the business that attended. I did miss on June 11th. I also went through the bursary selection with Councillor Anderson and Councillor Welke for the graduates there. And then on June 15th, also attended the graduation ceremony to present the bursaries to the two individuals. And then again tonight on June 26th, attended the more CAO interviews.
So
Oh,
perhaps,
sorry, I also attended the IMPC meeting on June 20th. I had those mixed up.
perhaps the reason that people weren't out and about was it was really hot.
We had some really warm weather there last year too, and
Oh,
it
really?
seemed to bring even more people out on the street. So, yeah, there was some scheduling conflicts. There was quite a few events going on. There was a golf tournament in Lacrete. There was the poker rally going on at the golf course here, as well as the Midnight Open. The day before we had the Indigenous Day celebrations. So it was just a very busy weekend, and I don't think everyone was able to fit it all into their schedules.
I attended Indigenous Days and it was very hot. All right, thank you, Councillor Lambert. Councillor Lebrion.
Okay, I did my final EOEP training course on June 12th, so I'm now done all of them, completely finished.
We should have had a graduation cap for you.
Not yet. And then June 17th, I also attended the CAO interviews, and then on the 19th was the film task force. That's all I have to report.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Lebrion. Councillor Welke.
Okay, just to clarify, the Lumex Airport Consult meeting was June 10th, was it not? Okay.
I think all of council was there.
I attended two of them that day. So there was one on June 10th, and then I attended the one with the businesses on June 12th.
Oh, gotcha, okay, okay, no worries, that wasn't a mistake. On June 11th, I also helped with my fellow counselors pick the grad bursary recipients. it was good to read all of the submissions, and yeah, congratulations to the two students that achieved that. On June 13th, I attended an Northwest FASD Society housing meeting. We actually had our consultant up who's been helping to manage and develop that program, reestablish it after it has, if everyone had recalled, it had shut down for a bit, and it's been reestablished now. So just to recap, there's 3 residents living with the organization now with a capacity for 4. We kind of discussed the staffing requirements, that sort of thing, because the public has had a bit of a perception that there is a lot of staff required for that organization, and at times would ask why and that sort of thing. So just for the public's information on the needs for what the FASD Society does, is it is considered one of the most complex, almost mental health conditions diagnosed, and the level of care varies drastically between different people afflicted with the condition. So right now the capacity, as I said, is 4. Staffing levels are high, requires some sort of staffing in that department 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So as we can all understand, with full-time and part-time work, that would require a lot of people. And it wouldn't necessarily mean that the staffing requirements go up if the capacity were to go up. So for example, the same amount of staff could care for 10 individuals, but we just don't have the physical capacity for that. So it's being looked at. It's a very, very unique program. It's not seen anywhere else where FASD is cared for and studied. So there's a lot of things going on with the organization up here that have been highlighted in national and international conferences. It's a very, very unique and almost groundbreaking statistics coming out of what's done here. So just would like to, kind of pass on some, really good words for the society here, that they're doing a lot of good work, and education to the public is paramount. It's a big part of what that society does, and hopefully we will see eventually some capacity, physical capacity, to care for more individuals. The other thing that we encounter up here too, in terms of staffing in this sort of profession, is we don't have an endless supply of professionals applying. So there's a lot of job training, there's a lot of mentoring, and getting trained in this area, it takes a lot of time and and patience, and it's brand new skill sets for people. So so that would be another reason why, as with most organizations, we see staffing challenges and that sort of thing. So bridging from that into June 19th, sorry, I had CAO interviews on June 17th, but June 19th we had the FASD audit meeting in AGM. A shout out to Sonia Schmidt for all her years as president of as chair for the board. She has put in her retirement. Yeah, so we are looking for a new board chair. But she's, I think it's 25 or some plus years or something she's been at it. So phenomenal work she's done over the years. We are fine as a board. We'll just be looking at filling that chair position over the next, month or so. And otherwise, yeah, audit meeting went fine. The organization is in good standing. So on June 19th as well, I ran from there over to here for a town high level film and TV task force with fellow Councillor Liberon and some other members. Bill Schnarr's administration for that. We're getting back on track. We have, I believe, scheduled for next meeting, Logan will be joining us just to discuss some more, permitting and developmental, aspects of, how a municipality would be affected by by that industry coming to town. So moving along there, more CAO interviews tonight, and that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Councillor Welke. Could I have a motion to, Councillor Jessamine, all in favor? Carried. So council's action list, does anybody have any, questions?
Madam Mayor, if I may, I realize this is, that council normally doesn't go through this, but with the coming change in interim CAO, I just want to let council know about some of the items that have transpired here in the last 4 or 6 weeks, and kind of the, if you want to call it, the pass of the baton that's going to occur here next week with council's indulgence. Is that acceptable?
Quickly.
Okay.
I had a question on one of them, but maybe you'll answer it. Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead.
so the ones of note, where there's been no change, I won't talk about them. Other than I've updated the action list to reflect that Director Schmidt has been in touch with the Denita First Nation, and that agreement is probably going to move forward here once the wildfire season is passed. In terms of the multi-purpose evacuation center, Director Clark and I met with the via Teams with the Emergency Management Alberta group out of Grand Prairie to discuss last year's evacuation and the needs for some additional collaboration around the emergency social services and planning. I was very pleased with the openness that they were. They were clear that decisions with regard to provincial assistance or contribution to a physical structure would come from above their pay grid, but that they recognized that how critical high level is to the province's emergency management, and in particular their emergency social services program for Northwest Alberta and for the territories. So we have agreed that we'll be meeting again in the coming months and targeting to have some kind of briefing moving up through AEMA, possibly into at least the ADM world by the Alberta Munis Conference at the end of September. But it's very premature to make that contribution, but we did raise that as a target date. With regard to the annexation, as council is aware, that concludes or is concluded. Tribunal made a decision in the order, and council came through in last week. I am passing that over to Logan. He will follow up, and he and I have had discussions with a Ross Zimmer in Municipal Affairs. That specific discussion was around with regard to the overlapping jurisdiction between ourselves and the Bushy First Nation. We've been informed that that is considered to be an administrative error that occurred in 1977, I believe is the date, either that or 1983. And as such, it can be addressed through ministerial order, and is expected that that will be addressed by the end of 2024. We did raise the issue about the need for compensation with regard to the loss of area. What we were advised is that can be addressed or should be addressed through the annexation that council's identified needs to occur in 2025. Again, Director Bartholow will move forward on that. In terms of, we broached the idea of the town being awarded lands, and we were received contact within the Public Lands Division of Forestry and Parks this week with regard to the staff member that we need to follow up. So Logan and I will be talking about that here through the rest of the week, and that will be, I'm going to say, is going to ride point on that and report back to council on progress with regard to how those negotiations go. The speed signs that council raised at the last meeting, I've talked with operations, and they're targeting to have those signs installed in August before the start of the school year. The fees bylaw has been passed. The airport fees are coming back for council's consideration. With regard to the audit, 2022 has filed. The financial information return and the statistical information return have been sent to municipal affairs. 2023, Doyle and Company have been in. They've done their sampling, been in contact with Jerry, and they're moving forward. My understanding is targeting a presentation to council in September. Director Phillips will keep you apprised of that. The schedule is that they will be back in October or November of 2024 with the intent of the audited statements being presented to council and the FIR and the SIR being submitted so that we're in full compliance with the MGA requirements by the spring of 2025. In terms of the human resource manager, Director Phillips and I interviewed 4 candidates last week. I am in the process of completing reference checks. Anticipate that to be concluded by the end of this week. I'll say an update will be presented to council at the July 8th with regard to the success or lack thereof of that process. Tri-council meetings, the CAOs met mid-May. This is something that I'm going to encourage the interim CAO to follow up on, as well as leave a note. I've already diarized that for the permanent CAO to reach out to CAO Dirksen in early September with the idea of the tri-council meeting occurring sometime late September to early October. With regard to a meeting with K Division, as per the last council meeting, I've been in touch with Staff Sergeant Dittmer. He was in Saskatchewan last week, and when I talked with him on Friday, unfortunately their computer systems were down, so I'm still waiting to hear back on that. But that again is a request that's going to go out in the coming week with regard to that. And the 2024 projects in relation to STIP. I talked with Keith yesterday, and he was going to reach out to Donnie and try and get some specific information about where our STIP funding is at. I agree with the comment that council made that I haven't heard anything either via CAO or by email or by phone indicating that we weren't successful, so I'm hoping that that is an oversight. That concludes my my presentation. Mayor, I understand, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. And
Do I get?
you get the golden star.
That was my question. I wanted to know if I was getting a gold or a red star.
I just had one question for Logan or Director Bartholomew. Have you been in touch with Powerwood or read the file or?
Yes, I've had a couple people from Powerwood reach out to me over the past couple of weeks, and they've let me know that there's some additional movement on their side. They're just waiting for some additional confirmations, but they've requested some information from us, and so we're just in discussions with them, and once we're ready to bring back some information to council, we'll do that at that time.
Okay, perfect. That's all my questions. Any questions from the rest of council? Okay, could I have someone move the action list, please? Councillor Jessamine, all in favor? Carried. All the upcoming events.
I'll move for information.
All in favor? Carried. So moving into new business, we have a request for decision on the tax penalty notification.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is just a policy that administration would like in place, and it's just to outline when we would send out tax notifications. Currently, there is no policy or directive for it, and our penalty is applied every month, and it would just make administration more clear and also the ratepayers more clear on when you will be receiving a notification and and it would highlight what those penalties would be. So this is just council to approve the policy as presented.
Okay. Any questions, Deputy Mayor?
I'm prepared to move the recommendation.
All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
So the request for decision for the property tax relief policy, man, sorry. Too much sun.
Madam Mayor and Council, this was a conversation that came up at our June 10th meeting, that administration would develop a property tax relief policy just to provide guidance to council in exercising the discretion. And it's just outlined in here, the guidelines on when a resident would bring property tax relief applications to council. And it does state also in here that if the applications were non-compliant to this policy, so an example would be if there was, say, a duplicate penalty applied and we, as administration, made an error and had to reverse it, we wouldn't have to, it wouldn't fall under this application process because it'd be an error in fact. So it just outlines very clear to residents and to council and to administration on what our guidelines are for the MGA.
Okay. This has to be in, I read somewhere, in the tax year, right?
Yes, so it's within your current tax year. So as per the MGA, council can refund cancel taxes, but nothing in tax arrears, so just for the current tax year.
Any questions, council? No? All right, could I have someone move it then? Okay. Councillor Jesselman moves alternative 1. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Request.
I know.
You own this.
Yeah.
Request for decision on public sector business savings account.
So this was a conversation that came up actually when CAO Leaf came on about just managing some of our annual requisitions. So currently we don't invest, I guess that would be the wrong, we don't transfer or invest our requisitions, our school or our lodge requisitions into any separate account. So having conversations with how our local branches are being more invested in the community, some of the practices that other municipalities use is they take those school requisition funds, hold it in a savings account, so then they're still accessible in those processes for the pre-authorized debits for the school foundation, but then also you have more management, a clearer picture of where you're standing when you are submitting your requisitions at the end of the year and doing your tax over under levies for audits. So this is a recommendation to just approve the opening of a savings account with ATB Financial.
So it's just an in and out?
It's just a savings account. So with our school requisitions, we tax the school requisitions on our taxes. So we would just take that revenue, those funds, put it into the savings account, and then quarterly, the school foundation fund, they debit our account. And we do this anyway in our operating general account. So this would just be a separate to start that investment into a local branch, but also just to manage those funds.
And the lodge requisition the same?
The lodge requisition is the same, but just to open up the conversation with our local branch, we felt that the school requisition is 1.4. It would be a good amount to get started to just see how that would go, but it's definitely opens up some doors to just put our, I guess, our eggs in other baskets locally and supporting our investment to the community and our branches.
So they're held quarterly, they're not sent in one lump sum?
No, we send them quarterly. So we would look at, right now, our July payment will be coming out. So then we would be doing our September and our December going into the new savings account. And then just starting this, going into January for next year.
Council? Oh, yeah, or Councillor Welke?
So currently, would this money just sit in a regular cash account, like with other, like just not designated specifically for the?
Not designated specific. So currently, our general operating account, we still do have an interest rate. It ranges every month, but it's usually 5.45 or more. This would just designate it to a savings account, specifically just for the school foundation funds for right now. It doesn't mean that it can't open it up to the lodge requisition. We can make those transfers. We do the lodge requisition once a year that we pay out to Boreal Housing, but this would just sort of just manage it in a separate basket.
Right,
So,
and is our current regular account in a local branch?
yes, our current account's at CIBC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may, just to give some more background for council on the discussion I had with Director Phillips, once we have this set up, some other investment opportunities, and I didn't have time to look at the town's investment policy, but in some of the other municipalities, I'm aware that because the school requisition has specific dates, you can, as soon as you receive the money, then you can invest in 30, 60, 180-day GICs and get a slightly better rate of return than you would, again, depending on the rate of return. But you can get slightly better than your savings account. The other advantage, and this is more so in the last couple of years, ATB, particularly under the Kenney government, there used to be more support for the rural lending through the ATB. And what I understand now from individuals that are affiliated with that is ATB's falling into more performance metrics. In smaller communities like Rocky Mountain House, for example, which was the first ATB in the province, they've gone from 16 staff down to 6. By the municipalities flowing some of their requisition money through, it improves the metrics for the local branch and makes them hopefully stay more sustainable, or at least in the short term.
Thank you. Council? Councillor Jessamine owns the motions. Thank you, Councillor Jessamine. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
13.4 is a request for a decision to meet with Minister McIver during AM Munis. Could I have a motion from the council?
I'll make that motion.
If I may, I appreciate the motion, but just a little more background. This agenda item was developed before we had our discussion with AEMA. Whether it's Minister McIver, there still may be value in that in relation to the land sales. My understanding was AEMA was still part of municipal affairs. So whether it's the minister or whether it's Minister Ellis, who's public safety, which is now what the evacuation center would fall under, if we were looking at that, or one of the other ministers. My suggestion to council is the motion respond to the request from municipal affairs, but my understanding is that similar ministries are going to be reaching out in the coming weeks, and that administration will take a look at which is the most appropriate minister to appear before.
I think we still meet with Minister McIver.
And we can meet with multiples if understood.
Deputy Mayor?
So yeah, if we could just make sure that infrastructure is on there, because that's who owns the water stuff at the airport.
Exactly.
And everybody that's on the Treasury Board. All right, could I have a motion?
I'll move.
Okay, Deputy Mayor, all in favor? Carried. So a request for me to attend the Denny'Thaw Assembly on July 4th to 7th. Could I have a motion from council?
I'll make that motion.
And any other council members if you want to come. It's very much fun. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Correspondence for information. Thank you, Councillor Jessamine. All in favor? Carried. And that ends our public portion, so I'd like to thank the public for joining us this evening. And I welcome you to attend our next meeting in August, July. I was gonna take 2 months off.
Questions from the public?
Could I have a motion to move in